BTS News Today. The shocking news came from the South Korean entertainment world. In the past few hours, social media was filled with deep concern from ARMY members around the world after the news circulated that one of the BTS members, Park Jimin, was rushed to the hospital in an unconscious condition. Even more shocking, recent reports say that Jungkook, a friend and member of one of his groups, I couldn't hold back the tears when I heard the news. In the tense atmosphere that enveloped the hospital where Jimin was treated, an important figure who has been behind the success of BTS, Bang Shi Hyuk, reportedly intervened directly. It shows how serious the situation is. That morning, the atmosphere seemed unremarkable for the fans who continued to follow BTS's activities, although most of the members are now undergoing military service. But everything changes when one of Jimin's fan sites accidentally uploads a short video. The video shows an ambulance entering a private hospital in Seoul. In the video, a black-haired man with a tiny body is surrounded by medics. It didn't take long for fans to realize that the figure was Jimin. Speculation began to spread, but no one expected that his condition turned out to be so serious. A few hours later, the hospital finally confirmed that it was true that Jimin was undergoing intensive care in the ICU after being found unconscious in his residence. A source from the hospital said that Jimin was rushed there around 4 a.m. by one of HYB's management staff, who seemed panicked and immediately called for emergency action. When the doctor arrived, Jimin reportedly did not respond and had to get comprehensive treatment immediately to maintain the stability of his body and heart. This news suddenly spread like wildfire in the middle of a dry forest. Armies from all corners of the world instantly showed their concerns on various platforms, starting from Twitter, Weverse, Instagram to TikTok. Hashtags such as hashtag pray for Jimin, hashtag Jimin stay strong, and hashtag we love you Jimin immediately topped the world's trending topics in less than 2 hours. But what made the atmosphere even more emotional was when additional reports came that Jungkook, BTS's youngest known member, has an incredible closeness with Jimin, came straight to the hospital with a tearful face. Witnesses said that Jungkook arrived dressed in full military uniform, indicates that he came with special permission from the military. He reportedly looked tired and puffy, like someone who had been crying all night. When he entered the room where Jimin was being treated, the atmosphere turned silent. He looked at his friend who was lying weak in a hospital bed. His body was surrounded by medical devices that worked nonstop. Before long, Jungkook sat beside the bed, holding Jimin's hand and crying silently. According to a report from a medical staff, Jungkook stayed by Jimin's side for more than 3 hours, refusing to eat or drink. Several times he was seen speaking slowly to Jimin, as if trying to wake him from his long sleep. When the doctor asked him to rest, Jungkook just shook his head and said that he wouldn't leave until Jimin opened his eyes. Loyalty and deep love between them, which so far has only been seen in funny and sweet interactions on the screen. Now it comes in its most heartbreaking form. But Jungkook's presence wasn't the only thing that drew attention. A few hours later, a luxurious black car enters the hospital area and Bang Shi Hyuk comes out of it, founder of HYBE and the most important figure in BTS's career. The presence of Bang PD, his nickname, shows that the situation at hand is not uncommon. He entered the hospital without saying much and went straight to the ICU, where Jimin was treated. The hospital staff treated his presence with respect, but also with urgency. According to internal sources, Bang Shi Hyuk didn't just come to visit, but also immediately held an emergency meeting with the medical team and HYB management. He asked all the best facilities prepared for Jimin. It even proposed the possibility of transferring him to an international hospital if there was no progress within 24 hours. It's not just a CEO's concern for the artist, but more than that, it's like a father watching his beloved child lie helpless. This situation is a deep reflection of how much pressure is experienced by K-pop idols, even in the midst of glorious fame. Jimin, known as a gentle and loving person, so far, he has rarely shown the burden he bears. He always smiles in front of the camera, giving fans positive energy, and tries not to burden his colleagues. But who would have thought, behind her sweet smile, it turns out that stored deep wounds and fatigue. Fans began to associate this incident with the last few moments before Jimin was rushed to the hospital. Some ARMY remembered that in his last live broadcast on Weverse, Jimin looked a little moody and didn't say much as usual. Although he still tried to smile and greet fans, there was something strange in his eyes. Now, that moment feels like a gesture that goes unnoticed by many. South Korea's entertainment scene was also shaken. Many artists and celebrities expressed their support and prayers for Jimin. Idols from various big groups such as TXT, 17, and Hypen, and even seniors like Boa and Taeyong write their wishes for Jimin to recover soon. Some even express their shock at not knowing that Jimin was under great pressure. Korean media also covered the case intensely. Major news programs highlighted Jimin's health condition and investigated factors that may have been the cause. Some analysts mentioned that years of pressure in this highly competitive industry can affect the mental and physical condition of an artist, no matter how strong they look. Jimin, who is known to be a perfectionist and sensitive, may have reached his limit. Meanwhile, HYB finally released an official statement in the afternoon. They confirmed that Jimin was in intensive care and asked the public not to spread unfounded speculation. They also asked for privacy for family, colleagues, as well as the medical staff who are struggling to give their best for Jimin's recovery. But the statement also contains great hope that Jimin's condition is beginning to show little progress. The whole world was now waiting for one thing: the news that Jimin had opened his eyes and smiled again. The figure that has been giving happiness to millions of people is now the center of a sea of prayer that never stops flowing. Jungkook is still in the hospital, reluctant to leave his place by Jimin's side. He even asked permission to stay for a few days to wait for his best friend to wake up. This condition also created a wave of solidarity among the army. The fans began to hold virtual prayer events together, create massive support projects in different cities, and even sent flowers and letters of hope to the hospital where Jimin was treated. The world seemed to stop for a moment, waiting for news from a man who had given so much love, passion, and inspiration to everyone. Amid the silence of the night, a hospital staff member shared a small but moving moment. He saw Jungkook humming the song Promise, the song Jimin wrote himself, next to his bed. His voice was trembling, but full of sincerity. He doesn't care who hears, because the only one he wants to awaken is his best friend, his soul brother. And perhaps, among those soft tones, there is hope that such a pure love is able to reach far into Jimin's dreams and bring it back to the real world. Will Jimin come to his senses soon? Will the presence of Jungkook and Bang Shi Hyuk be able to provide the strength to fight this storm? The world is waiting. Army is waiting. And in the middle of all this, unspoken love remains BTS' greatest strength, the love that binds them not only as colleagues, but as family. This story is not over. But one thing is for sure, Jimin is never alone. Not yesterday, not today, and never will be. Because behind the scenes, among millions of prayers and tears, there's Jungkook holding her hand, hoping for just one miracle, for Jimin to open his eyes, smiled, and said in his warm voice, "I'm here."